we're amidst our fourth match of the day here at Hearthstone Grandmasters for the European region. And that's Admirable. And joining me is Soddle. And Soddle, Viper's up to a 1-0 lead over RDU in this one, which means that RDU has to answer back 2 straight games, where this set is in Viper's favor.
And it's actually an even bigger win than it might seem on the surface, because I saw Viper tweeting about his lineup, and he said that he wanted to play very, very aggressive. He felt like aggressive decks had good matchups, and that he was just hoping that, you know, he could dodge Warriors, or he could, you know, sneak a win against Warrior if he needed to. He said he wasn't expected to play either 0 or 1 Warriors, wasn't expecting to play 2, and he got the 1 side of that equation, you know, playing against RDU. And he got the win against the Warrior, which, you know, when you're facing a matchup in your opponent's lineup that you're saying, okay, my lineup's a little bit weak to this, when you can get over the line against that, that's pretty sick for you.
Yeah, and so his Shaman deck comes away with a big win on the back of an Electro Storm Surge being drawn at the very end. A great setup to Viper, I think, in that regard. But now he's loading up a Mech Hunter deck, which I'll say unusual is the word I'm going to go for here. Soddle, there is 2 Harvest Golem and an Octosari in his Mech Hunter deck.
Yeah, Octodad is here in full effect, flapping around the garden, just trying to do some lawn mowing, and he's going to try and get the job done in this one, because it's... I understand it, I guess, is about as far as I'm willing to stretch, because, you know, Mech Hunter is a deck that does run out of gas all the time. Like, yeah. Every single game.
Like Shaman, it just starts out of gas.
Yeah, you play your cards, you hope they've dealt enough damage, and then if you haven't dealt damage by the time you run out of cards, which you do, inevitably, you just hope that you're then top decking, you know, War Gears and Leroys and things that have an impact on the game. So Octosari does make sense in that regard, because I think, you know, if you do curve out nicely into Octosari, there's so much damage coming into your hand after that it's going to be hard to cope with. But let's consider every other configuration of the order that you draw these cards in as well before we get too carried away.
I just liked how happy Explodinator looked when you zoomed right in on his face. Never noticed that part. He looks very happy.
He just wants to blow some stuff up. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't he be happy?
And he might have a good chance of blowing stuff up here. He's against RDU's Mage, which he's going to be queuing up next in this one. And taking a look at RDU's deck list, it is the Reno Mage deck list. And he has opted for some more defensive choices with a copy of Acidic Swamp Ooze, a Bone Wraith, and the Kartut Defender in here. Kartut Defender's kind of become a staple of this deck, so maybe not so much that one. But the Bone Wraith is not. I think that's one of the big talking points that people still have. It's very weak against the mid-rangey decks, but it's pretty strong against decks that want to all-in you.
Yes, I do agree with that. You know, 1 or 2 people, I'm not going to claim this was like a prevalent opinion or anything, but 1 or 2 people when Bone Wraith was revealed just went, whoa, like this is just like Sludge Belcher 2.0, and no, it just isn't. It has 2 attack. That's a very, very big difference in terms of comparing it to Sludge Belcher, but it is at least good enough to be a wall for a while, and I think that's something that the Mage deck is very interested in, because if it can get to the late game, it doesn't really matter how much of a board you have. If Puzzle Box is just going to nuke it away, doesn't matter how much of a board you're left with. You know, you attack 3 minions or something, you 3 2/3s into their Bone Wraith to clear it off and deal with it, and then the Mage just has Reno to follow that up afterwards. You know, that takes care of that perfectly. So it's a card that does make a lot of sense. Admirable's got the giggles because Octodad is in the hand.
It's the first card he drew. And this hand is great from Viper. He's got the Galvanizer.
I mean, this is the curve out perfectly into Octosari hand that I was kind of talking about in jest while we were previewing the deck. It's there.
Yeah, I'm curious how Viper's going to parse this out, because my head is very much in favor of the Galvanizer. It lets you suit on the Venomizer and, you know, continue to suit up.
It beats Doomsayer as well, crucially.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most important functions of this deck versus Mage, is that one of their prime tools that they hope to have early against decks like this is exactly Doomsayer.
I think RDU that might be dead.
That face is the face of somebody who really needed to draw that crossbolt.
That is a very big deal. I think RDU might have just revived himself.
It's still going to hurt.
It's 6 less damage next turn. And it's health off the board now, so that he can potentially curve into Reno and be able to use that as a board sweep.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Oh!
Okay.
And so now if you're in Viper's spot, is this a trade situation? Well, let's find out. Viper's going to look at the deck list and see how many impactful cards draw a card. What happens if I don't kill it?
Card off the top next turn is Arcane Keysmith. It is Bone Wraith. Those are troublesome things for sure. Does choose to respect it. Okay.
I like the respect of it because the poisonous effect has already done the job for the Galvanizer. Already returned Surf on that one now, so that's a 2 for 2 that took place. And that hero power means we're
It already
suiting
killed
up.
it already killed the Doomsayer as well. It's better than that.
It's 2 for 2, right?
We killed a Doomsayer, a Luna,
Oh, we
and
killed
a
Luna's.
Crossbow.
Oh my gosh, I just forgot about that.
Yeah.
I literally just watched that happen.
I forgot the most recent thing that happened to me.
Wow.
Okay.
That's important. However,
I mean, sure.
3 points still stays on board.
If you're just going to rip the absolute boy off the top every single turn, then I guess you were fine, and I exaggerated earlier.
Well, the problem is this is beyond Reno's capabilities in terms of technical
Yes.
clear.
And the most likely outcome is the 5-7 surviving.
Yeah.
By some distance.
And there's no shortage of magnetic left.
Nope.
We're gonna have some fun.
Hey, look, the 5-7 survived.
Ouch.
I guess it's a 5-2 now. I lied.
Ouch. This is a major ouch.
Top analysis here at Hearthstone Grandmasters.
Look at how much damage. He doesn't even necessarily have to magnetic. So if you Fireworks Tech and Bomb Toss, that gives you 3 1/1s. It deals 2 damage immediately from the Death Rattle, and then you get to Bomb Toss for 2 more.
No, this is a War Gear on it. It's not the Rip King Menace.
Oh.
Ooh, I wonder what this does.
Gives you a hero power. Yeah, this is way better.
As it puts him to 8, puts him to 2. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
For sure. Yep. Absolutely. If it puts him to 2, yeah, you do it.
He had Doomsayer Frostbolt on the open into Reno.
Yeah. Dead. D-E-T, dead.
Wow! Viper just slaughtered him.
Nice Octasari, by the way.
Like, whoa.
You alright?
Well, no, I'm not all right. And the reason I'm not all right is because I constantly hear people complain about how powerful endgame stuff is. Just kill them.
I'm honestly super happy. I think that game is an anomaly. I don't think Mech Hunter is super powerful right now, but I am really happy that we've seen decks already. Aggro Rogue, Aggro Shaman. I think both of those decks are very viable at the moment. And I truly, they are decks that throw damage at your face. They are aggro decks. For the longest time, the few decks we've had that were decent aggro decks are you play a minion and you snowball the board and you build a board and then you hit them with your minions. That's not an aggro deck. An aggro deck just throws damage at your face over and over again. And that's what we have again, finally, is some viable decks that can actually get that done.
And the importance of an aggro deck selection is the timing of that aggro deck. It's when you play that aggro deck, not the aggro deck itself. It sounds like Viper's ready for an interview. Viper, can you hear us?
Mic muted? Dun, dun, dun.
Huh?
There we go. Yeah,
yes.
now we hear you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good.
I'm doing very good. Viper, congratulations on your win here on your first match to open up Season 2. I'm going to start off with the question I've been starting everyone off with. The changes here for Grandmasters in Season 2. What are your thoughts?
I just really like playing a new format, honestly. I like being able to play multiple decks. I like being able to play, I don't know, something that's not just standard best 1 or 2 deck or counter to the 1 or 2 decks you're gonna see. So yeah, I figured while, I don't know, testing out stuff for this format, I think nobody is at the perfect lineup yet. I think it is somewhat solvable, but it's gonna take time. And I don't know, I think I had more than 20 different decks I ended up considering playing, so it's kind of crazy.
So I do want to ask you about your lineup. It's very aggressive. It's like aggro, mage. Like, was mage just too good not to bring, even though it didn't really fit with like the aggro idea?
The mage thing was more or less, I don't rate Reno Mage as like the best deck in the game right now. I rate it as it's a good deck of every time, sure, but it's not the best deck or anything. So I figured sometimes my opponent's just gonna love the deck too much and they probably just ban it, even though it might not be the right ban because they don't respect the aggro decks or something. So I just figured I'm gonna bring Mage. The deck it's a good deck. I might end up being in a spot where my opponent has Warrior and then something that's maybe good against an aggro deck as well. So I'm gonna play Mage then, but I generally kind of like wanted people to maybe ban it if their lineup is weak to aggro because they over-respect it.
And so I want to talk about your Mech Hunter deck that we saw in game number 2. We didn't get to see too much of it because it was awfully quick. You've included Harvest Golem, which is a card I'm curious about, and you also included the Octosari. And I'm used to you having very specific thoughts on the decisions you make. So walk me through the choices in here that have rounded out your Mech Hunter deck.
I mean, essentially starting with whatever is so-called super standard Mech Hunter deck, then with the one, I think the deck is like 29 cards most of the time, and then there's this one Boommaster Flag or somebody else is playing, and I was like, wait, why am I not playing Octosari in this deck? Essentially, if I'm against Warrior, the card is really, really strong against Warrior because either you end up drawing all the burn cards, like Nero essentially, or your Fireworks tech Spider Bomb combinations. The deck has a lot of kind of combos in it because it still Galvanizer reduce your hand, Fireworks tech Death Rattles, it's a Venomizer missile launcher. So you draw these, or you draw the Reach, which sometimes misses because there's one Leroy and that's kind of it. And I mean, nobody's going to play Silence in this formula, at least I didn't expect it, even though it might still be good. And then it's just a really, really strong tech card against Warrior and way better than the Boommaster Flag or anything else. And Harvest Golem, I don't know, I kind of just wanted to play a deck full of mechs, full of those stick on board mechs, and then just magnetize something and hit the other guy in the head. I don't know. There's no superior thought behind Harvest Golem. It's just, it's mech and it's probably going to survive, and I can play a war game that can attack with it.
All right, and so you mentioned you had like 20 decks built. This is gonna be my final question for you. What was your favorite couple of decks that you could not bring this week?
I think my favorite deck I actually ended up submitting before I boarded the plane back to Germany, and I think it's a deck I want to play next week. So I kind of don't want to talk about that, but I was super close submitting it already this week, and I don't know. I think other cool decks. I think there are a lot of different Druid variations that are playable. There are things like Holy Wrath Paladin, which a lot of people brought. I didn't expect that many to bring it. I think it's a really good deck. And I feel people underestimate how many different variations of Warrior there are, because even though we call Warrior Control Warrior at the moment, we essentially play minions on curve, and we play good minions on curve.
Right.
So you can like play a top-end heavy control, the 10 controlish cards, which are like the spells in your deck, and then at the moment you just add taunts and then some tech cards, but you can as well add taunts and bombs. You can only play bombs. You can, even in the control so-called deck, you can just play Corcoran Elite, Inner Rage, the Execute package, play Bloodsworn Mercenaries, like all these things. And I would have liked to submit something like that, but I just couldn't figure out what's the best list for that.
Well, Viper, I'm really looking forward to seeing you the next couple weeks because you've always been one of those players who's not afraid to mix it up and go against the grain with the deck building. Congratulations on your win, and I can't wait to see you again this weekend.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks.
I love that Viper just has an explanation for everything except Harvest Golem.
It's okay. It's a mech. It's sticky. You magnetize on it. You hit him in the
Death
head.
rattle.
It's an explanation as far as I'm concerned. It makes sense to me.
I'm used to lots of explanation for
Yeah,
like very thoroughly thought out things.
Right.
Like, it's very German.
It's
and I
interesting
like
that like the more time he spent, on camera giving interviews like that and streaming as well in English, over time he's got even better at like communicating those ideas. It's a lot more outgoing in his explanations. I think that's very, very nice to see. But yeah, the other thing that I know Viper for is something that we were all sort of alluding to towards the end there is he is known for brewing up some madness every now and again. I was kind of waiting to see what the peanut shaman was for Viper this year coming into season 2 of Grandmasters, and it sounds like there's some secret sauce he's cooking that he might want to bring next week in his words. So I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm always looking forward to seeing myself some Viper matches. What can he bring to the table? And that brings us to our 5th match here of the European region for Hearthstone Grandmasters. It's Casie taking on Bunnyhoppor in this one. And this is a match I always love to see because of the stark contrast in pace of play between the two of them, where Casie will often play at a blistering pace. I'm surprised he doesn't get overloaded himself, a la the aggro shaman decks. And for Bunnyhoppor, he tends to take his time on just about every imaginable thing that you could possibly think of for that one, just always looking for that little bit of extra edge.
Yeah, and it's curious because if you talk to Casie or Bunny even about this, they practice together a lot. So people always ask him, like, well, how do you bear like practicing against each other? You're so like polar opposite that like surely you'd find someone that plays at the same pace as you do and you feel more comfortable. And apparently, actually in practice, Casie ropes and Bunny gets annoyed that Casey's wasting time during practice by roping. Like, just absolute bizarro world. I don't understand it at all.
Well, it makes sense to me. Casey's got to learn the stuff, and Bunnyhoppor's trying to jam as many games as possible so that way he can get in, I guess, more thoughts as the game. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic to me either way, but we are playing with Shield Phase Conquest in this one. So every player's brought 4 decks to this weekend of Grandmasters, and there is a Protect phase that's in place. So of the 4 decks they have, they choose one that cannot be banned away from their lineup. Then from there, of the 3 remaining each player has, they're going to ban away one of the opposing. And then from there, they play a best of 3 match where they have to win 2 games before their opponent wins one. And like traditional Conquest, when you win with the deck, you can't play it again. So that's where we're standing here with Casie versus Bunnyhoppor, and that brings us to Casie having Mage, Warrior, Hunter, and Rogue. And Bunnyhoppor is coming to the table with Rogue, Hunter, Warrior, and Mage.
Yeah, it's no great surprise that the lineups are very similar between the 2 players because, as we mentioned, they are very commonly practice partners. Also, Bunnyhoppor was very busy recently. He was doing promotional work at Gamescom, where he was playing Hearthstone on one of the stage events there and did not have a great deal of time to put into prepping for this week number 1 himself. So I believe, actually, the majority of the lineup building has been done by Casie, who then, weirdly, has kind of handed over that lineup to one of his opponents in week number 1 in Bunnyhoppor.
What a good guy.
Yeah. What a dude.
Just a nice guy. Also, I believe he prepped with RDU this week.
Yes,
as
correct.
well.
Psycho, RDU, and Casie.
Yeah, so a lot of similarities with the lineup in terms of Casie and RDU, and by similarities, I mean identical. And there you can see the ban pick / shield phase that's gone on. They've both protected their warrior deck. It is guaranteed to be available to both of them in this match, and Hunter has been banned away on both sides, so neither of them will be operating with their Beast Hunter deck. Which is a little bit of a disappointment to me. I was looking forward to seeing some Beast Hunter today because everything we've seen so far has been Highlander Hunter.
Yeah, to be clear, not a Highlander Hunter. 2 ops. Classic Beast Hunter, double Dire Frenzy, double Unleash the Beast. Actually, only 1 Unleash the Beast, never mind. But that whole kind of package, the old school version of just making big beasts with Dire Frenzy, drawing them out with Master's Call, jamming Zul'jin, ending the game. That deck, that's what they're playing. They are not on the Highlander Hunter hype train for this week.
Yeah, so that leaves us with Warrior, Rogue, and Mage available on both sides of it. Both Rogue decks are going to be the Chef Nomi Rogues that are featured there. And we're kicking things off with Bunnyhoppor. He's going to start on the Reno Mage deck, taking on Casey's Warrior deck, which is a fairly controlling Warrior deck. You know, I kind of liked what Viper had just alluded to in the interview, where it's like there's so many different iterations of Warrior, we call them all Control Warrior.
Yep.
For me, Control Warrior says this deck is meant to take advantage of the latest stages of the game. If I say something like Taunt Warrior, what that tells me is I want to continuously make sure that I am protected so that way I can build big minions across the board. And so I think, you know, Tomb Ward's like the first thing that comes to my head. And then with Bomb Warrior, it's Bomb Warrior. It's basically just a pure aggro deck.
It's basically just a pure aggro deck.
And that's where I sit with this one. But as far as Casie is concerned here, he's got a Plague of Wrath, he's got our Megadillo, he's got 2 copies of Tomb Warden, and an Archivist Elysiana up top. That sounds like Control Warrior to me.
Okay.
Just because Control Warrior's got on-curve plays doesn't make it not Control Warrior. Just my 2 cents.
No, you're right. I mean, honestly, I think one of the most powerful things about slow warriors of any guys right now is that they do have, you know, 4 of the best 1-drops in the game available to them, or sorry, 4 copies of 2 of the best 1-drops in the game available to them. And when the control deck is playing 1-drops that outclass the 1-drops that are available to the aggro decks, that ain't right. That's that don't
Speak
sit
for
well
yourself.
with me.
Speak for yourself.
All right.
I love it. I would never be caught dead in a tournament with 1 copy of either Town Crier or Eternium Rover right now.
I'll hold you to that one. I don't know when you...
I said right now, so
Playing Hearthstone tournament.
I guess you'll hold that to me for the rest of the day. And
For the rest of right now. All right, we're done.
Isn't right now always taking place, though?
That's true. We're in a perpetual state of right now.
Yeah, because we're never in the future and we're never in the past.
No, right now.
Oh, boy. I'm held to this.
Oh,
for the
you
rest
messed
of my
up
life.
big.
2026. I'm playing a Hearthstone tournament, and I have 2 copies of Talent Card and Eternium Rover. They're like, you are disqualified. Those are not in standard anymore. Nice start for Casie, but a Doomsayer looking to shut this down.
What to do? What to do?
Faceless Lurker ends up being the pickup off Shaggy as well, which, not really the quality of card that you're hoping to see.
There's one situation where that card has been good for me, and it's post Armageddillo. It just becomes a 5/10.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I love Ancient of War.
You must love Zephyrus then, because that guy comes up a lot.
Not that much.
Okay. Bunnyhoppor choosing just the disruption play with the Doomsayer just allows himself a little bit of freedom on the follow-up. Potentially just to rip Arcane Intellect.
Pretty big change up here for Casie as well, taking his time.
Yeah.
Really thinking about this snip snap for the 2/1/1s as presents. If this were Bomb Warrior, I would agree.
Sure. See that distinction? If Casie is going to slow down in the matchup, then we might be in for a long one here, at least in game number 1.
What to do? What to do?
Because Bunnyhoppor is for sure going to take his time.
You know, I guess something to note for Casie is that most of the time I've seen him play, we've been pretty deep into the format. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy off the Volpera Scoundrel.
Tell me more.
That scoundrel. You're not supposed to do that.
He's so adorable, though. How can that guy be a scoundrel? Look.
Well, wait till next turn. Sure, it gets blown up now, but it's already done the damage. Look.
I'm still not calling it a scoundrel. Casie immediately just says, all right, play minions.
We know how this works.
Yeah.
I see 10 health. I see a yellow Reno.
I see a salty Casie. I was about to do an in 3, 2, 1, and then I realized it was Bunnyhoppor playing. Oh no, it would have worked! No, no, it wouldn't.
He started at 5.
Yeah. Maybe we would have got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something.
He's not, you know, that's not really salty. That looked somber to me.
Fair
Like,
enough.
jeez.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, look, I mean, he's got the boom. There's still some play to be had here. It's just very tough for Casie at this point. He's got through a couple of points of damage, but he hasn't been able to substantiate the board.
Right. And now there's a Luna's Pocket Galaxy in effect. There is a dead Luna's Pocket Galaxy in the deck, which, you know, Casie can cling on to as a ray of light, but if he could see Bunnyhoppor's hand, yes, the Antonidas is a big deal not being discounted. That is a very powerful minion, but there is a Calic Ghost, there is an Alex Straza, there is all kinds of nonsense thrown in there that is costing 1.
What to
Siamat,
do?
Tortolan Pilgrim,
What to
Barista
do?
Lynchin,
Yep.
Mountain Giant. That one's technically going to cost 0. Not the All-Stars this time. However, I think that the Arcane Keysmith is still a pretty good fill-in here. There's actually no weapons in the Warrior deck for Casie.
You missed your grand moment. Admirable was looking down at deck list, and then a Reckless Rocketeer appeared. I was very confused because a Reckless Rocketeer appeared, and the person to my right did not immediately lose their mind about how awesome that was. And then I looked over, and he was looking at deck lists, and everything was very clear.
I missed my moment.
Yeah.
God, the one that's never going to happen again.
No. I was honestly, when that Reckless Rocketeer appeared, I braced. Like, genuinely. Like, I expected the pop-off so hard.
I'm so
All right, Casey's suiting up. But the heavy hitters are going to have to come out eventually for Bunnyhoppor. And there's one of them.
Oh my gosh. That's not okay.
The
Yeah, that's the salty.
The Casie classic, I'll have you know.
That's the salty.
The sarcastic round of applause. The one-mana Alex off the top. Put you to 15. Draw a card, by the way. Let's keep it going.
He's gonna run out of board space.
Ice deck's fine. Keep it at 5. Who cares?
He's gonna run out of board space. Why?
Oh, you don't play that, right? Like real talk, you don't play that.
I want you to think about how excited you expected me to be about a Reckless Rocketeer, and now consider not playing a one-mana Caligos that draws me a card. There is exactly a 0% chance that I don't play this Caligos.
Why are you, like, you're gonna get brawled here anyway.
Because I want to.
Okay, yeah, sure, fair point, good point, well made. Moving on.
Poor Casie. We were supposed to have a nice game of Hearthstone here.
Yeah. Then Pocket Galaxy happened.
No, Volpera Scoundrel happened. The Galaxy's buried in the deck.
He was just being a good foxy little boy.
Job's done.
You know, I feel for Case in this one, but honestly, I just love watching this mage deck. It just does such wonderfully broken things.
No, I'm kind of right there.
Oh,
with you,
yeah, the
man.
Lunatics are out.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's the worst that could happen.
I do love watching it, though. Like, the more broken a deck is, the more I really enjoy watching it.
Was it Tony time? No, apparently it's not. Could have gone like Caligos, Tony, cast a spell for free, cast Rare Frost for 2 fireballs, right? Seems solid.
Yeah. I'm thinking about whipping this Blizzard out there to draw a card, though. Like, there are 2 things I like in games. Number 1, it's my thing killing your thing and staying alive, and number 2 is drawing lots of cards.
I love drawing cards.
Like, sure, you could play stuff, or you could draw cards.
Time runs out on me.
Yeah, Bunnyhoppor agrees with you.
Behold the tools of creation.
Bunny still interested in just stretching out his resources a little bit. The shield block would have put some pay to the straight up Antonidas plan. So I guess building a board state does work out pretty well for Casie. Full path here will leave a 1 health reborn minion on the board, so Eternium Rover and solve that issue. Good sequencing as well, getting the 4 armor off it in the process before he needs to trade it off.
Yeah, I think that the big difference in this game right now is actually the 7-cost Archmage Insights. The fact that that card's not discounted means I think Casie has a chance. Bunnyhoppor is not free to just make 6 fireballs in 1 turn.
Right.
He's limited pretty much to what he's going to have. And so the key for Casie is being able to eliminate this Caligos efficiently, and then having enough life to check Tony. So the Ray of Frost, I think, is going to change my perspective on this Archmage Antonidas a bit. But
well, you take the Cinderstorm. Yeah, exactly. Like, the Cinderstorm is free.
Oh,
you
just cast a spell.
You just cast it.
Yeah, the spell thing. I always forget about that.
You just rip it.
Yeah.
Huh?
You want 2 more fireballs, right?
A double... No, because he's playing Zilliax.
Unity, precision, perfection.
I am confused. I am very confused.
3/1/1's Brawl, shield block. Got to win the brawl, right? I guess Caligos could live.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
What is the secret, by the way? It came from the Keysmith, right? I've forgotten what it was. Can we check that out, please?
Well, it's not a counter spell.
No.
Job's done.
Play as advertised, shield block, some of the 3/1/1s, get the brawl done.
Okay.
1/1 does live.
There's still some game here.
So now Bunnyhoppor sat with just 15 in hand. And there's an extra minion down to that brawl with his choice to go with the Rare Frost and the Ziliax instead of the Frostbolt on the previous turn. No value for that barista to pick up. Puzzle box, question mark?
Number of cards in my hand always concerns me with Puzzle Box.
Sure.
There's so many cards that just add cards to your hand right now.
Yep, there we go.
Puzzle Box is in a very different situation than like the original Yogg was. Like the original Yogg very rarely overdrew you. There weren't that many card draw effects.
Well, also, I think it was being played in a metagame where the average hand size was lower just to begin with as well.
Yeah, definitely so. And Bunnyhoppor is going to be diligent in eliminating mechs so that way they do not attach with Ziliax and make an impact. And Casie very much lamenting that.
Magic neutralized.
I don't know if I like this stack on. I think I would like to see that be more preserved.
In what way? Preserved, meaning
To hold it in hand, but I guess
hold the Beryllium Nullifier back?
no, the Vicious Scrap
Oh,
Hound.
to hold the Vicious Scrap, okay.
And so I think that he recognized that Bunnyhoppor just wasn't going to play a minion for a while, or when he did, that it was going to be so impactful that Casie was going to die to it.
Okay. Okay.
Timeout hits? Are you kidding? So Casie can't even deliver that damage? Tracking cuts the deck in half.
Oh, the Frost Nova.
To 1! Well, there's a timeout in place. That doesn't even matter.
Yeah. But like, if there could have been, I don't know, minion summoning effect, like Animal Companion afterwards or whatever.
The thing that matters is that timeout,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, the Frost Nova would have mattered, if, you know, in spite of that. But I digress. That's death. Bane of Dooms, connect face. That was a wacky game to end on with a puzzle box. I thought that game was going to end in a very different manner than a puzzle box.
Yeah, and really, Bunnyhoppor only had kind of one good turn that entire game. Like, he got the Luna's Pocket Galaxy down, and then he drew the Stargazer Luna, and then that one turn he had was about the only, like, really, really powerful turn he had. It just goes to show what one turn can do in that mage deck.
Yeah, and it, especially like the timing of it too. The fact that it follows up after turn 5 instead of later on as it will be post balance patch. But it's just, it's such a like I can see where Casey's coming from on that one. I would be super frustrated at that spot too. But my gosh, it is so much fun to watch. It just does so many broken things, and I love that.
Yeah, that turn was hilarious. I think we did kind of just get into fits of laughter at the time as it was just perfect one-mana minion after one-mana minion coming off the top. Just Alex Straza, and then there's just a Caligos, and it's just, he's got so much good stuff going on, he just doesn't play a one-mana Caligos that turn. Like, that's how good his turn was.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Takes something else to be able to create a turn like that. But, you know, we got to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to be jumping back into this match right now. Bunnyhoppor leads 1-0 over Casie. We're going to find out if he can tie it up and perhaps take the set himself. Needs back-to-back wins, though, so stay tuned.
Rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, a federation of civilization. Now is the time to be brave, evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the world championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Ace. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Match be dead.
Wacko pick a Vix coming out from Hunter Ace.
It's now or never. Archvillain reform.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Ace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
We're amidst our fifth and final match here at the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the European region, and that's admirable. I'm joined by Soddle, and Soddle right now, Bunnyhoppor has a 1-0 lead that he boasts over Casie as they head into their next game, which Soddle wasn't, I believe is an expletive or something that you used. I'm excited about our next matchup. How are you feeling about our next matchup?
You can't just expose me like that.
Yeah, I
What's
can.
that?
You can expose me like that.
Really?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm duly noted. Well, I can't think of anything right now.
Oh.
Well, I can only think of things that are, I can't think of things that are the right level. I can think of things that are way too far. But we're not going there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Control Warrior Mirror fan in the world. I'm not ashamed of it, but that's what we have. We have a Control Warrior Mirror. This guy right here, he loves them.
They get me pumped. I like it because it's just a lot of little meticulous decision making, and you get to notice the distinct styles facing off against each other. And then right at one point, when everything notches in for one player's game plan, that's when everything really comes together and you see who got the better of who in that one. And that was very much what we saw in our first match of the day, where Swids was he was just behind the whole game. He was losing. But then suddenly at the very end, Kalento decided to play for tempo and use his life total as a resource.
Yeah.
And that trapped him into the damage that was necessary for Swids to win the game, as off the Archivist Elysiana, he was holding 2 copies of Wrench Caliber that he never exposed.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful game.
It was really, really sweet, honestly. Really built to a pretty awesome climax. And then even when we spoke to Calento after the game, he was kind of breaking down. He mentioned it himself. He said that it was, a really interesting game, and that it was one that I think he said we could debate for hours what was right and what was wrong. And I think that is definitely a big selling point of Control Warrior Mirrors. There are lots of little small intricacies that make a huge amount of difference, just incrementally over the course of the game. A small decision from 15 turns ago can end up being the one that matters.
Oh, yeah. So with Dr. Boom in neither player's hand, that is largely one of the cards that they will be racing for. It was interesting to note that Bunnyhoppor threw away an Eternium Rover in the matchup. I find Eternium Rover to be one of the better one-drops. In a lot of situations, I actually favored over Town Crier. It just provides you a lot of extra health throughout.
Oh, no, you're misunderstanding. You see, Eternium Rover functions much like a quest in that it's always in a warrior player's opening hand. So if you play 2 Eternium Rovers in your deck and then mulligan them away, you actually have a better mulligan on average.
Because there's only 29 cards to mulligan from.
Yes.
Ah, gotcha.
I feel like we can't just let that hang. That's such bad misinformation that we can't just say that. Yeah. PSA, that was nonsense. Ignore all of that.
Yeah. However, the Eternium Rover, that's not nonsense. That card is good in the opening hand. So Casey's been able to chip away for 2. Bunnyhoppor gets to return serve kill on this Town Crier, which brings him +2 on the armor, and then is still a 1/1 that threatens to chip away a little bit. Like, that one card for 1 mana has generated a 5-point health swing.
Yes.
That doesn't seem like much right now, but the game is in for the long haul. And so when you get that much out of one single card, that is a massive difference.
I mean, if you've been with us for a while, just rewind your mind to that Calento Swid series from earlier and imagine the difference if Calento had 5 extra health points at any point.
What now?
I believe Bunnyhoppor is contemplating coin Omega Devastator in this situation.
Really? I would find that deeply alarming. Considering your opponent's already played a Town Crier, I feel like you're just coining out something for them to run a Restless Mummy into.
So that's kind of my thinking, right? Is that he doesn't have necessarily a response to Restless Mummy. He would just be losing his Town Crier, and then what? Now the Restless Mummy's going to continue to whack away at your life total.
No tomb can hold me.
So I am pretty curious that Bunnyhoppor opted to Hero Power over Shield Block as well. They both have Archivist Elysiana in the build. They're playing identical mirror matches in terms of the actual deck build itself.
Yep.
So I'm kind of surprised because the Mummy threatens to chip away a lot of damage in unchecked scenarios.
No tomb can hold me.
Oh, either way, Bunny does find his own Restless Mummy to find his way out of that position.
No tomb can hold me.
Initiative tempo still on the side of Casie right now, but he doesn't really have too many great plays to fulfill that tempo advantage that he does have. Your turn.
Somewhat curious at the Dynomatic here. I guess cards that change the Dynomatic dynamic. It's kind of a weird thing to say. Flunky and Armagadillo, I think, both have pretty major impacts on how good is Dynomatic in the mirror match. Because prior to those cards existing, it was pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
Like, I often consider just straight up cutting it from the deck.
Yeah. 5 mana Spider Tank. Let's go.
Favoring the Tomb Warden over the potential extra value.
Yep. Just chooses to stick on Tomb Warden as opposed to twist and just go for the rebuy.
Light the fuses.
That hold on Dynomatic. Fought Casie a 2/2. Oh boy.
The immediate payoff for the Tomb Warden as well.
So the big question on Bunnyhoppor's mind for Armagadillo would be, how important is it to land Armagadillo's effect on multiple minions? How likely is the impact to be made in the immediacy of this game? And if you choose to hold it for a later time, at what point would you unleash it if it was the last threat in your hand? And so that is a lot of information to parse.
Something else to consider as well, which is you're going into your opponent's turn 7, and you can put a must-kill target on the board that can disrupt them from doing turn 7 things.
Yeah, and so that prompts the shield block because Bunnyhoppor says this game is going to go a long time. I want this Armageddillo to hit multiple things. Now, that's a created copy of Tomb Warden in hand. Yep, there are still 2 natural copies left in the deck that you could potentially buff.
Casie just actively napping now during Bunnyhoppor's turns. We've reached that point. All right, wake up, buddy. It's your turn. Casie. Casie? Okay.
He just stays asleep and hits the armor! Oh, that is showmanship, and I love that. And so now, second copy of Tomb Warden drawn, and that might prompt Bunny to say, you know what,
Yeah,
that's
good
exactly
enough.
what I was looking for.
Good enough. Take a moment just to appreciate how ridiculous and glorious the art on this card is. Like, look at that thing.
It's a giant armadillo with a laser cannon strapped to it.
It's a mega armored dillo.
And it's just, for whatever reason, got a belt that holds missiles in it.
Yeah.
Like, you remember Bart Simpson's belt that he won from that contest?
Yes.
And it had like all the turn
Yes, I
signals
do,
and stuff
actually.
on it?
Yeah.
The armadillo's the bully who took it.
Yeah. Now I'm unsure what Casey's doing, but we'll roll with it.
I think he's just listening to some tunes.
Yeah, he's just jamming out.
What?
He's got a slight enough smile on his face that I can tell he's enjoying it.
Okay.
That Tomb Warden may take some of that enjoyment and give it to Bunnyhoppor instead.
But as always, there is a net 0.
So many choices. Job's done.
Yeah, it's about the only answer he's got. He needs to be able to fight kind of honestly with Omega Devastators. There's nothing honest about Omega Devastator, let's be real. He needs to be able to fight with Omega Devastators over the coming turns, and he's not going to be able to do that if there's already 2 Tomb Wardens on the board plus whatever else Bunnyhoppor plays this turn.
I don't know. It's honestly pretty good. Something honest about Omega Devastator.
Said it last season. If you play an Omega Devastator and then you just leave it there and don't attack with it, even though it has rush, you're an honest man.
An honorable control warrior player.
Yeah. It already does 10. It doesn't need to deal 14. I think we can all agree on that.
I wonder.
I will pose to you the Tomb Warden question. It's already a 5/8. Does it need to be 2 of them?
Does it need to be a mech? I don't know. Hey,
Yeah.
sarcastic clap number 2.
I feel like Casie could have read into that to some degree, given the card placement from Bunnyhoppor's hand. He saw that Armageddillo and Tomb Warden were both available prior to the turn that Bunnyhoppor had actually used those cards.
Was this second Tomb Warden that Bunnyhoppor played the one that he drew that changed his mind? or
Yes,
not?
that was the one he
then-
drew that changed his mind.
Well, then yeah, sure.
I think Casie was hoping that wasn't the case. He was looking for an alternative play and ended up landing in this situation.
Yeah. But either way, Casie now in business himself. Finds his own Armageddillo.
Yeah, he lands it on 3 Tomb Wardens and a Ziliax as well.
Yep.
So his Armageddillo is, I think, significantly better than Bunnyhoppor's was. But Bunnyhoppor's the first player to take the lead.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing it second, and he's doing it second in a game where Dr. Boom Mad Genius is currently not a factor. And in those kinds of games, going first and having initiative and asking questions and pushing damage and playing minions and all that classic Hearthstone stuff, yeah, that is really, really good. It's only Dr. Boom Mad Genius that kind of flips the equation a complete 180, and suddenly being reactive is quite often more powerful.
Oh, I think Bunnyhoppor's looking for Magnetic.
Beryllium Nullifier would have been huge. Have to make do with another Tomb Warden.
Gosh, I am very surprised that that was that didn't land on a Mega Devastator. Makes a lot of sense, but mana floated.
Yikes. Big swing turn for Casie now.
Yeah, not the ideal use of Ziliax though. And so to me, that is something that I want to pay attention to as the game progresses. I have tended to preserve my Ziliaxes for a very long time and just take the beatings. And Casie hasn't opted for that, so that's something that I want to think about later on.
I'm so glad.
Gets to discover a mech and play an Eternium Rover or coin something
I was
big.
going to say, it's great and everything, but if you ever Dr. Boom Mad Genius coin Omega Devastator...
That's a good turn, and I'm going to let you finish.
But Bunnyhoppor has already had the greatest turn of all time, and it was last game. Forget about that.
I saw that golden border, and for a moment, I had the fleeting thought.
Yeah. But it could just end up being one of those one-sided beatdowns that we see from this position. Casie does have a ton of stats to chuck at the problem right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is a lot. All three of those Tomb Wardens are currently buffed, and there's 2 copies of Snip Snap with a stealthed minion in play right now. I think Casie is in a pretty fantastic spot despite being down the Dr. Boom.
Okay.
Okay, then.
I think I agree with you with the caveat that, you know, as long as Casey's able to find his own Mad Genius, like, before all of these plays are made, which is plenty of time, right? He has, what, 5 or 6 turns worth of plays in his hand still currently, so he has plenty of time to find that card. If the Mad Genius is, you know, bottom 5, though, I think that slowly Bunnyhoppor is going to grind out from this position.
Yeah, 5-13 goes uncontested this turn.
That ain't it either.
You can make a 10-13 with the Snip Snaps. I'm kind of interested in that, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's that the damage trade-off is too much. Like, you hit your opponent for 10, they hit you back for at least 5 and develop. Like, that's probably not a situation you want to be in.
Do they? Do they just attack back past a 10 damage minion?
No, I meant
dealing with?
for Casie. That's not a situation Casie wants to be in, where he makes a 10 and cracks back at Bunnyhoppor. Bunnyhoppor then gets to develop and have an option to swing back for 5.
Right,
like, that's a bad position
Sure.
for Casie.
Yeah, okay.
This would be a good time
There's
for a
the
master
play
plan.
for Bunnyhoppor. We've already seen Casie use his. Again, these are playing the same deck. We believe that Casie handed this lineup over to Bunnyhoppor, as Bunnyhoppor wasn't able to put too much time into preparation because of some commitments he had at Gamescom. They are both playing a single copy of that Plague of Wrath.
then.
Casie already used his earlier to deal with a buffed up Tomb Warden. Bunnyhoppor not quite having the same luxury available due to that one huge minion he has himself on his side of the board.
Gosh, everything looks weak. Yeah, I think it's a good use of those
That's
2 cards.
smart. Yeah, I didn't really look at that too much. Smart play. I like it. Gonna push the damage again, it looked like, just from where the arrows went.
Oh, yeah. Secure damage when you have a chance. For Casie, he doesn't have the liberty of securing that damage. That's really the issue that he's been having this game.
Interesting. Basically the same situation as last turn. 5-13 against a 4-4, and you have the choice between 2 Wardens and Snip Snap in your hand, and he makes the opposite decision that he did last time.
Could have been Plague of Wrath that was influencing the decision.
Okay.
The Snip Snaps into the Kaboom I'm a bit concerned with. So if you're going to do that, I think you do need to connect with your opponent's minion in this case, which is very ugly.
This 10 goes into the 13.
I don't think you have, like, if you attack face here, you die to a Mega Devastator.
Well, isn't it worse to a Mega Devastator to trade?
I don't think so. I think this is better because you have the Warpath. Like, you get to at least clear a position.
But this, I guess, yeah. If he was to go a Mega Devastator and then not do the value trade, just slam the Omega Devastator into to do the rest, then yeah, you'd be in a worse position.
Just the hand context.
I, like you, do have questions about timing this into that Kaboom Hero Power, though. This is the problem. I said Casie has a whole buttload of stats that he can chuck at the problem, but throwing stats onto the board is what Dr. Boom Mad Genius wants you to do, essentially. Just big, fat, slow stats? Yeah, he'll eat those breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Thank you very much.
This place is scary.
Wow.
Well,
we've gotten quite desperate.
All right, there's an out. He snap picks the Hecklebot, and knowing that there is, you know, a borderline kind of auto-win scenario where if you can rip away your opponent's Elysiana out their deck, and it's one that can still pay out in this scenario. The Elysiana is still in the bottom 10 for Bunny.
Yeah, he's got to stabilize this board, though. I mean, the board's getting out of hand.
Yep.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Light the fuses!
Bunny just going to keep on pushing. The health disparity is just getting obnoxious now. 4170 for Bunnyhoppor. Casie at effective 16, 21 with a bomb in his deck. That is a frankly ludicrous discrepancy in health totals.
Yeah, and frustration increasing. The good news for Casie is that Bunnyhoppor does not immediately have something ultra powerful to do. And now it does.
The word immediately was very crucial.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if War Gear or Boom Reaver's better. I really don't. Your opponents they've taken so much damage at this point that War Gear starts looking a lot better when he runs low.
Do kind of like the War Gear, I think. Doesn't really like curve out that well with the remainder of your hand this turn though, so maybe it's just not the play. It's just such a clean trade, right? Magnetic on top of one of the 3 attack minions, just crack through one of the 5/8s.
Yeah, Spark Drill's servicing is, you know, a bootleg War Gear situation.
It's fair.
And so I think if the War Gear is not good enough to play in this scenario, what that means is you're opting for Boom Reaver and trying to fill up a turn with a dead hero.
Yep.
And so finally, Casie gets his first reprieve from the situation and draws Dr. Boom Mad Genius, gives the thumbs up, and perhaps now there's some room to battle.
Well, now if that Hecklebot lands, now suddenly Casie is miles ahead because he has the tools he needs to stave off pressure because of Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Prior to the Dr. Boom Mad Genius, he probably could have Hecklebotted the Elysiana and still lost, just on tempo, to Bunnyhoppor just beating him up with minions. Now he can check that with all of his mechs having rush. If he is able to hit that Elysiana, this game could have just flipped entirely on its head.
Pretty surprised that the life total that Bunnyhopper's at, he still favors the armor over the development of Boom Reaver. Wow, so that's what that means.
There it is. And no, dodged. And you see Bunnyhoppor is like, whoa, okay, I dodged a bullet right there.
Still a good one to hit, though. I mean, you know, Casey's been
yeah.
under pressure for this game, and being able to pull away Snip Snap as a counterplay option, or I'm sorry, as a damage push option, I think is a big deal. Now it gets to start stabilizing the life total.
I do want to go back to the armor versus Boom Reaver turn on the previous turn as well, because I think it's kind of just a game state thing, right? Where I talked about it, like, when your opponent doesn't have Dr. Boom, playing initiative, just jamming big damage into play. Casie gets the news that he could have hit the Elysiana with that Hecklebot. He did not know that it was in the deck up until that point. Bunnyhoppor just has to taunt him.
It's also just seeing a 7/7.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's the worst one for me.
For those of you not entirely clear on how this card works, it creates a copy of the card that it pulls out. That Elysiana does still remain in the deck.
Correct. So for all those Derek Browns out there, it creates a copy of the Archivist Elysiana.
Hey, I already ragged on Derek enough for what he was wearing today, okay? So I wasn't going to go in that hard.
I actually think it's your first mention of it here in broadcast.
Oh, you haven't seen the messages I sent him off camera.
Touche. Touche.
Yeah, as I was saying before we got distracted by Elysiana things and ragging on Derek, you can see before Dr. Boom Mad Genius came down for Casie, every turn he was just playing like big minions, max stats, push, tempo, etc. As soon as Dr. Boom Mad Genius came down, it kind of diverted to that pattern that we saw in the Kalento series, where it's like, I don't want to be the first guy to play anything now while both players are in Dr. Boom Mad Genius form, because if I play things, every card in their hand just got better because I played a minion.
It's a true story. I guess my one thought on the matter is that it's pretty clear your opponent doesn't have a Dynamatic. I'm sorry, he doesn't have an Omega Devastator in that situation, because it probably would have been used to defend himself at some point.
Well, he was dealing with a 5/12 thing, right? So it wasn't like a Mega Devastator. Like, most of the game, he's just been staring at whatever that Beryllium Nullifier minion was that came down.
I want to point out that Casie preserves the 1/1 to go face for one rather than the 2/1 body, which is technically superior.
This place
A
is
nod to how
scary.
important damage is in the matchup. Secure damage.
Hecklebot right back at you, buddy. Yeah, we can see Casie is safe.
Yeah. Hecklebot's just pretty good in the matchup, honestly. There's a lot of valuable battle cries.
Ooh, yeah, that's a pretty solid one, honestly.
For this turn, I agree with that price flunky. This place was scary.
Yes. Evens up the fatigue count a little bit as well. In fact, pushes Bunnyhoppor back to that position where he's kind of half a card ahead, I guess is the way to look at it. Technically even on deck counts, but Casie is always the one drawing first. Which means he's pressured to play Elysiana first, which means his Elysiana then runs out first, etc. You can extrapolate from there what all of that means.
Bootleg Ziliax.
I haven't said it once this season.
Why did he
You're on like 6 times.
Why did he trade in that 1/1?
Two copies of Brawl in Bunnyhoppor's deck still? I don't know.
Okay, I can see that.
Just doesn't want to make a bad card good.
This would
Or
be a good
good
time
50%
for a
of the time.
master plan.
Unity, precision, perfection.
It's twice now Bunnyhoppor's got actually pretty solid use out of Kaboom. Generally not the easiest hero power to use in the matchup.
Light the fuses!
I'm a bit curious about the Dynamatic here. I guess the thinking on Casie's side is because the Shield Slam is there, he has a tempo tool to handle an Elysiana turn.
Mm-hmm. Security Rover.
Oh, wow.
Yep, snap pick.
And that's actually like one of the positions Casie's been looking for, is an opportunity to return serve powerfully with the Tomb Warden.
Yeah.
And Security Rover is almost exactly that type of minion to do it against.
We've now hit the point of the game as Casie stabilized with
This
Mad
would be a
Genius
good
that
time for a
both
master
players now have to be really concerned about how they can essentially alpha the Elysiana turns, right? They need to be the one really in charge of the tempo of the matchup when it gets to the point where players need to play Elysiana. So you will see resources used quite recklessly to be able to get to that point. Casie has the Shield Slam play available on 10. Elysiana Shield Slam is about as swingy an Elysiana turn that you can have, especially when you have 21 armor built up on top of that.
He's trying to Hecklebot the Elysiana.
He's trying again, yeah. And also, again, as I mentioned, just even if he doesn't miss, it has now just flipped that initiative just a little bit. It's now Bunny that finds himself in that position where he's a half card ahead. He's the one drawing first every time now.
I'm almost out of cards.
So Bunny needs to decide whether he needs that last card, whether he's going to be in a better position to play Elysiana on the following turn than he is on this one.
I believe. No, I don't know what the last card is.
Well, whatever it is, Bunny wants it.
Also just gets to connect for 5.
Make that 6 if he wants it.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Doesn't choose to push the extra damage.
I'm almost out of cards.
Bunny says, you can't, you know, I know you have 2 brawls left, but you can't really brawl and like develop a board that I'm going to be scared of Elysiana-ing into anyway, so I might as well just see my last card. Especially in that situation, Reborn coming out and the ping having to be used. Yep, it's going to be an empty board. Bunnyhoppor gets to Elysiana, Casie gets to Elysiana Shield Slam in response to that. Say empty board. I'm disrespecting this 1-2 just a little bit, but you know. Oh, it's a Tomb Warden. Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, that's right.
You kind of want that.
Yeah, yeah.
We've seen so many of them that we just didn't consider that the last card was a
Colossus of the Moon.
Sephorium Bomber.
I've never had a Colossus of the Moon in my warrior deck. I don't know what that feels like.
I know what putting bombs into my opponent's nearly empty deck feels like.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
That feels good. Second time today, I think we've seen Mad Genius get reoffered in an Elysiana. Generally not the pick, but this is some trash tier.
I mean, the Dragonling mechanic summons a 2/1 with Rush. Gorehowl.
Oh, the Bloodsworn though.
Colossus of the Moon in the deck.
You do have a Warpath in your hand. 2 Warpaths still in your hand.
Yep.
EMP Operative?
Oh, certainly if that was what was offered. If we could get a look at that, I would very much appreciate it.
Colossus, Rover, did take the Mercenary, and did take the EMP Operative.
Thank you. Oh.
Yikes! All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Casie just went through the exact same range of emotion.
What is this?
That is an Ancient Watcher. It is a Hearthstone card. 2 mana, 4/5 minion with the text can't attack.
And heavy metal, was that the last one?
Yep.
Okay, so Specimen.
Some garbage and some Omega Devastators. There you go. Summed it up for you.
Light the fuses!
1, 2, 3, 4. Leaves 4 on the board as long as it doesn't split incredibly awkwardly. That's totally fine. 75 effective health, plays 38, but Casie does have the half a card advantage of fatigue. But that's not enough to make up that level of discrepancy.
Yeah,
so he will need to gain board and start hitting with minions if he's going to swing this in his favor, and he doesn't really have the Elysiana deck that's going to enable that.
Yeah, I think I hate to say it, but damage needs to go face. I don't know if that's the relevant factor that's going to be coming up. I think that Bunnyhoppor just, you know, frankly has an extremely powerful Elysiana by comparison.
Yeah.
I'm looking at heavy metal to really do the heavy lifting for Casie in this one.
This update is mandatory.
Yeah.
That's bad news.
Good news, you get to connect for 5+.
Bad news, your opponent's still at 70 after you connect for 5.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it.
Good news, Boom Reaver.
Yeah,
Bad news, the minions in your deck kind of suck.
Yeah, one of them's a loose specimen. That's a 6/6.
All right, fair enough.
It's double snip snap cheaty ankle biter here, I believe. Ah, separates to get the clear. Isolate the board position.
Okay, I respect it. Still 2 brawls again remaining for Bunnyhoppor, so not leaving him with his own minions in play means that the 7-8 becomes a lot more difficult to deal with.
It's going to stay difficult for a bit, I think. Wow, this was a really smart move by Casie, I think, to try and nullify the brawl, because if Bunnyhoppor wants to add to it, it's going to take his entire turn to do it. And that is a lot of expenditure. And that means Casie, I think, is going to be interested in Boom Reaver in this situation. You're kind of happy to draw that Mana Wraith. It just means that Loose Specimen's more common.
Yeah, it's just
He needs to nail Loose Specimen. He nails it too! That is so important for Casie, because he needed this 7 damage to connect if he's going to have a real chance in this game.
Yeah. Could have done the job with the Omega Devastators, but this way he just gets to do it with a less significant card in the Boom Reaver.
And now that Bunnyhopper's losing some tempo, that Colossus of the Moon looks a little bit worse. However, what I'm seeing is Bunnyhoppor, now hear me out, this is going to sound crazy. You take 20. Afterwards,
I mean, I brace myself for something real wacky sounding.
Afterwards, you get to Brawl and Bloodsworn Mercenary your Colossus of the Moon if it went unattended.
No. No.
It's so much stuff.
I'm unconvinced.
All right. I tried.
Yeah, you throw the other spark in as well. Surely.
Oh, I love that new thing.
What are we clapping there, Casie? Have you seen the result already?
I think he's happy with what ended up happening.
Okay.
Like, Bunnyhoppor just had to load the board and brawl. Mana Wraith shuts off the Colossus of the Moon.
There's 2 Warpaths left.
But that takes the Colossus of the Moon turn away. That's the point. You do not have the liberty to Colossus.
Oh,
That's awesome.
is it?
Yeah. I think your opponent having to Warpath Mana Wraiths is not very fun for them.
I feel like your dictionary has a different definition of awesome than mine does.
Look, Mana Wraith's doing something, all right?
Sure.
That's surprising.
Now, suddenly,
This would be a good time for a
59
master plan.
plays 45. And that is a discrepancy that this 1-card advantage for Casie can overcome. What his deck might just struggle to overcome is that there is a lot of minion quality left for Bunnyhoppor that is sorely lacking from Casie's side.
He gets to copy them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That hurts.
That play was awesome. That's what my dictionary looks like when you look up awesome. That's not true. It looks like the mage play the Bunnyhoppor made in the previous game.
That play was awesome. Took advantage of the Mana Wraith.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
You are right. You said it earlier. These heavy metals are going to have to end up doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of minion presence for Casie.
Well, he doesn't attack first because he really does not want a security rover to live. And he's blessed with his own 4/5.
Come on.
Wow.
That is horrible news for Bunnyhoppor.
It's got to be Coco time. Win. I want to see it in play. It's so beautiful. That gives Casie a clear opportunity for heavy metal, though.
Yeah, and this is a scary time for Bunnyhoppor because there are several unaccounted for cards in Casey's deck. By that I mean cards that Bunnyhoppor hasn't seen a single copy of yet. the heavy metal, the cheaty ankle biter, if those are just huge things that sees initiative. Ah! I don't know anymore.
Whoa.
Genuinely, that outcome has ruined any knowledge I had of where this game is going.
All right. So step number 1, Bunnyhoppor has to stop this damage. He does not have that immediately in hand. So step number 2, you got to find it. If you find it or go looking for it, that means Colossus of the Moon is not getting played.
Dino.
So that handles it, and Casie takes the first draw as a result of that. And so to me, that would possibly be one of the potentials that can make a difference, is if Casie rips the blood right away.
Yes.
And it duplicates faster in his deck than it does in Bunnyhoppor's.
Yes.
Okay, then.
However, although Casie has the first draw for it, Bunnyhoppor is that kind of one card ahead where he's drawing the first card off. So on average, after the first turn,
And that means look for something even more desperate.
he's drawing more of them more quickly.
Just me and Mr. Whitey.
I guess this is fair. He always had the Charging Dragonling. So taking the extra advantage, the extra card off the weaponized Pinata makes a lot of sense. Casie does hit it off the first draw. Heavy metal number 2. All right, Deathwing this time.
That's very large. And so is Casie going to continue to play around the brawl? And yes, he is.
Yeah, all 3 should get shipped into this before the 2-1, and there you go. There's the recognition.
And Bunnyhoppor does not draw the blood and slams a Colossus of the Moon.
Casie actually got very unlucky to draw the first blood straight away, but then was quite fortunate not to find a second one there. 3 bloods remaining in his deck from that point.
Colossus of the Moon is not easy to deal with.
Nope.
Is that food? I need it.
Add to that there is another Bloodsworn Mercenary in the deck as well. Casie has to think about.
Yeah, he's got to kill this Colossus.
And to kill this Colossus, he has to extend minions into play. And to extend minions into play means that the Brawl becomes live again. For Bunnyhoppor as a removal option.
Job's done.
This needs to be a blood. If you're a Casie fan, it is.
The blood. And that is going to provide a major roadblock for that Deathwing. Is Bunnyhoppor willing to risk that? Is the question, though. Because if you take another smack of 12 here, that could be absolutely dreadful news. At the same time, if you go for a brawl play, and that 12-12 lives, you have basically lost the game. What?
Bunny just wants to take 12 again?
Whoa! I'm pretty stunned by that.
Casie dodges the bloods again! These cards for Bunnyhoppor, there's 1 Bloodsworn Mercenary left. I believe that is the only remaining card.
So Casie
isn't a Corrupted Blood.
Casie didn't peel the Divine Shield.
He doesn't peel the Divine Shield, Bunnyhoppor can't put damage on it, and therefore can't copy it with the Bloodsworn Mercenary.
There's another Warpath. 2 Warpaths. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, trades the Divine Shield. Warpath for 2, and because of the presence of that Warpath, leaving that Divine Shield up, I think, has to be classified as a mistake. Because this play was always available if the Bloodsworn Mercenary was going to punish.
Well, Bunnyhoppor, the last 3 cards in his deck are Corrupted Blood, Bloodsworn. He's drawing the Bloodsworn Mercenary that turn. That's why he played the Colossus of the Moon.
Yes. Blood. Oh, Clockwork Goblin.
Yeah, I don't know if killing those moons does anything. Like, it would open up the 3/1/1 hero powers to be able to clear one of them off.
Yeah.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
How many turns does Bunnyhoppor have to live?
So next turn he's taking 6 + 5 + 1. And then every turn thereafter, he's going to take 9 + 2. And then he's going to take 12 + 3.
I'm almost out of cards.
So every blood gets drawn here, it will reshuffle, and the chain ends and fatigue damage hits.
So the next turn, Casie is taking 10 damage. It's 9 from bloods and then 1 from fatigue. And then the turn after that, he's taking 12 + 2.
Bunny's just got to play stuff right now. There's no card unaccounted for. He knows that. I mean, I guess you could say the loose specimen is unaccounted for if he's looking at it that way, but it got exactly, yeah. But it hasn't been played, so maybe Bunny can forget about it. But if he follows all the information correctly, he should know every card that is in his opponent's hand right now. So there's no real punish, but just stats, and a lot of them. All of them that you can get into play.
Casie takes 10 this turn. Drops from 35 to 25, and then he's facing 14 on the following. That's 14 from the deck.
Yes.
So he's got to fend off enough of this to be alive, and that's not possible.
Wait, no, he takes way more than 14. There's 6 bloods.
Oh, they all duplicate. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was okay. So I counted that wrong then. So 12 + 3 for Bunnyhoppor. That's still correct. I did that wrong.
I don't know.
Casey's wrong. Yeah, Casey's dead.
Yes. Bottom line, Bunnyhoppor won this game. One more hit of 3, and then a hit of 2 from the fatigue.
Wow. And honestly, that's so insane because that all boiled down to Casie drawing the blood first. So Bunnyhoppor giving Casie that initial chance ended up paying off.
Yeah. 6 bloods, 3 damage each, 18 damage, plus the fatigue hit. Casie is well and truly dead with some to spare. But at that Hakkar, it really made things very, very interesting towards the end there. When that came off the heavy metal, I lost all concept of where that game was progressing to. Thankfully, Bunnyhoppor and Casie did not and still pushed out. There was that little thing with the Bloodsworn Mercenary where I think Bunnyhoppor was recognizing that he was drawing Bloodsworn Mercenary, set up the big minion for it. And I think Casie left up the Divine Shield for an insane trade trying to prevent that. But with the Warpath still there, is that really the right decision to make? It's a tough one to really dig into because so much stuff happened that game.
Yeah, if you peel the Divine Shield, it's simply Warpath for 2, duplicate it from a standpoint of 8 health at that point, and then you trade it into the Deathwing, and then you end up with a 10-1 Divine Shield thing.
Wait, what? Why has it got Divine Shield?
Because it reborns.
Oh, okay, sure, but the attack that you send into the Deathwing isn't made with a Divine Shield. That's the big difference.
Correct.
It takes 12 from the Deathwing when it attacks into it.
It comes back as a 10-1 without reborn, and and Bunnyhoppor ends up with a 10-8 reborn Divine Shield Colossus in that spot. So I think it does cost him a little bit.
No Divine Shield.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, no Divine Shield. Oh, that's a colossal difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
So okay, I now understand.
Yes.
And at first I was just like, yeah, it doesn't lose that much. But either way, Bunnyhopper's ready for an interview. Bunnyhoppor, can you hear us?
Yep. Hello.
Hello, and congratulations on that win. A very insane finish to that series that ended up taking place. I want to ask you first and foremost about Grandmasters and the changes that we have here for Season 2. What are your thoughts?
I'm pretty excited to be able to play a multi-class format with picks and bans and yeah, just being able to like play more than one class. And I think it rewards like preparation a lot more, and I'm kind of looking forward to that.
So I'll ask you about the end of that Warrior game specifically. When the Hakar appeared, like how comfortable did you feel in terms of like the damage race? Because it was like I lost my mind. I didn't know what was happening anymore because it's super hard for us to just like stop talking and do a bunch of like mental maths to work out like who dies first. Like were you comfortable in the spot?
I was a bit surprised. I mean, I was happy it was Hakar, not like a bigger 10 drop.
Okay.
That was mostly. But it also does favor me if he spawns Hakar because he doesn't kill it off, and then he gets it off first.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about your preparation this week. I heard you were quite busy doing some promotional work with this one. So what was it like for week 1 or you and GM? Like how much practice did you actually get to put in?
I didn't get to put in much practice because I had a bunch of duties at Gamescom, but Casie rescued me. He helped me out with the decks a lot. Just basically gave me a bunch of codes. I asked him questions why stuff is in the deck and if you can change certain things. And he just basically it's all his work and like RDU's work. So I just stole it, and I feel a little bit bad.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
His stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of BM, right? Like you just stole all his decks and then beat him up with it week 1. Like, come on.
I mean, yeah. It sucks that we have to like face each other at some point, obviously. But our sentiment is basically that by practicing together or talking about the decks together and getting each other feedback, we gain towards like the other players. And then as a group, we basically, it makes sense for us to still practice together even if we play each other.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me as well. So, Bunnyhoppor, congratulations here on your week 1 win. I'm certain a little bit bittersweet, but you got plenty more matches coming up, and you have a rematch somewhere down the line. So, look forward to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can see it. Bunnyhopper's someone I feel like who likes to play against his friends, but not necessarily like to compete against them because there's always that bittersweet thing where it's like, yeah I won, but I had to watch my friend that I prepared with take a hit.
Yeah, I think you've also got to like throw the element of good guy Casie into that because I think it would be like totally justifiable from a competitor's standpoint if to say, Bunny, I know you're my good friend, I know you're my practice partner, but I'm playing you this week in a very serious tournament. I'm not just gonna hand you a bunch of deck codes, as he said. But Casie took one for the team. He's a team player. He wants the team as a whole, as they mentioned, to just perform as well as they possibly can. And it came back to bite him, but he's a nice guy.
It happens, and absolutely. Casey's one of the people I think I've had the most pleasure of meeting in all my time here playing Hearthstone. So that's 5 matches in the books here for day 1 of European Grandmasters. And so that's going to bring it to a close here for us. But we're not done with Hearthstone for the day. Well, we are, but TJ and Dan are not. They're going to be bringing you the Americas, which is coming up next. 5 more matches of Hearthstone, as well as Saturday and Sunday matches that will be taking place. So if you're interested for more, stay tuned. There's plenty more of it coming up.